The title of this section is Allowing versus Resisting. When you allow the universal creative mind to work through you, rather than just trying to create your desires with your severely limited conditioning or reasoning mind, you are in tune with the dynamic power of deliberate creation. You will also find that you do not have to force things to happen. Sometimes it takes patience for all the energies to line up. If you try to rush or force things, your interference can actually slow you down. If you want faster results, the only way to shorten what we call time is by adding more energy by raising your level of certainty and increasing the intensity of your imagination. Also, don't keep changing your mind. Changing your mind all the time confuses the universe. Imagine going to a travel agent and saying, "I want a ticket." What would be his or her response? "Where do you want to go?" He or she could arrange for you to go anywhere that you want, but it would be impossible to assist you until you tell him or her exactly where you want to go. Now imagine saying, "Well, I'd like to go to New York and Hawaii at the same time." Again, the travel agent cannot fulfill your request. Now imagine you say, "Okay, then book me to New York." No, wait, Hawaii. No, wait, New York. No, wait, I'm not even sure I can afford this. Okay, I can afford it. No, maybe now is not the right time to travel. This is how many people think all day long. And the universe is confused by their thoughts, just as the travel agent is, and therefore produces confused results. If you have perfect belief, imagination, faith, certainty, and clarity, you can create results instantly. Once you understand the universe's deeply complex, yet simple rules, you cannot fail to achieve your goals. The universe works by perfect law. It's not capricious, nor does it make mistakes. Sometimes all you can see is chaos and unpredictability. But all that's really happening is that you are simply seeing something that you do not understand yet, but something that's organized and predictable by certain laws. These laws are applied equally, universally, and unfailingly. If you want to change your world for tomorrow, then you must change what created your world today, which are your past thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Are you doing the same thing every day and expecting a different result? If so, then change how you think, believe, and behave in the present moment, and the results of your future will change automatically. Many masters, teachers, and sages have told us not to worry, to practice detachment, and to trust the workings of the universe, not only because the universe works with supreme intelligence, but because it's totally dependable. Consider this. It has been said, "It is given unto you even before you ask." It has also been said that, "Ask and ye shall receive." Make sure you understand what the word ask means. Asking simply means putting in a request, as you would when you order from a fine restaurant. Asking is not begging or pleading. It's claiming. It's stating what you want in a confident manner, with firm expectation. Expectation means letting go. We talked about this earlier, but it's worth repeating. After you state your desire, you must become detached from the outcome. In other words, you watch it from behind the scenes without wishing that it will come to you in a particular way, time, or sequence. And because you understand how everything is created, you are able to have certainty, consistency, detachment, and gratitude that your goal is virtually guaranteed. When you do this, it will take form in the most unexpected and miraculous of ways. That is what deliberate creation is all about. It has nothing to do with begging or bargaining with a higher power. Essentially, you detach yourself from the outcome by saying, "Okay, I've done all I can, and now I'm putting my trust into something other than my own limited mind and resources. I am letting go and trusting that source energy and the creative laws of the universe are working in my favor, bringing my desire to me at the right time, the right place, and in the right way." This enables you to stay calm, even in the most turbulence of times. There is only one obstacle to practicing non-attachment, and that's your ego. Your ego is that voice that tells you that there are obstacles in your way, and most likely you will fail and not get through them. Your ego is that part of your mind that wants to keep you safe and not take risks. We all have egos. Many people even fight their egos. These people are always in some type of conflict. They're in a constant battle with themselves. When you resist your ego, which is nothing more than your conditioned mind, you are only granting it more power. And as your ego begins to control your life, you become increasingly more attached to the outcome of every situation. The reason your ego tries to find all the ways that things won't work is that your ego honestly believes that what you have right now is all you've got going for you. It also thinks that you are separate from everyone and everything else, that you are all alone and helpless, so it has to solve all your problems. It says that the only way that you can solve a problem is to focus on it so that you can fix it. However, here is something important to understand. A problem cannot be solved with the same mind that created it. You must go beyond what your mind or your ego is telling you, because all it knows is the past. It tries to create the future out of the past. Observe how your mind creates resistance. Look at the thought process involved. By witnessing your resistance, you will see that it serves no purpose. All the resistance disappears and is no longer there when you are conscious in the present moment. When you are conscious in the present moment, which is your point of power, you can make clear, rational choices. Choices require a high degree of awareness. Without this, you don't have a choice. We often hear how we always have the power of choice, but that's not entirely true. It's misleading to say that someone actually chose a dysfunctional relationship, their money problems, or any other negative situation in their life. You can only attract negativity when you are unconscious about the present moment. Choice begins when you stop identifying with your mind and its habitual patterns of thinking. As long as your mind, with its conditioned habits, run your life, what choice do you have? None, because you are not in control. To the extent that you are willing to let go of your mind and your ego, whatever you desire will be on the way to you. However, the real secret to manifesting the things that you desire in your life is to give up your resistance to what is or what's happening in the present moment. In other words, stop fighting your present reality. For example, if you stand in the awareness that you don't have enough money and you talk about it and you put your energy around it, and you perpetuate a continuing vibrational thought energy of not having enough money, even though you're asking for more, and even though you're taking actions which should attract more money cannot come to you because it's vibrationally incompatible with the thought energy that you're sending out. When you come to the point where you no longer feel uncomfortable about what you don't have in your life right now, and you're willing to accept what is, while at the same time you are eagerly reaching for more, you are in perfect vibrational alignment to allow the steady fulfillment of every desire into your life. So accepting and making the best of what is, or what you have going on in your life right now, while you are eagerly anticipating your desire, is the perfect vibrational alignment. You see, the law of attraction responds to your thought energy. What we are talking about is allowing versus resisting. In other words, allowing the receiving of what you've been asking for. Some people misunderstand this. They think that allowing means putting up with the things that you don't want in your life. That's not allowing at all. Allowing means finding and choosing thoughts and things that make you feel good, and practicing those kind of thoughts so often that they become your dominant vibrational pattern. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you get on a positive roll and things just seem to fall into place? But have you also noticed that sometimes you can get on a negative roll and things just seem to get worse? Why is that? Is it just coincidence? No. When you get focused on something that doesn't feel good, the law of attraction will continue to bring more of what doesn't feel good into your life. Here's what's really happening. The reason you don't feel good most of the time is because you're letting circumstances, or what's happening in your life, determine how you feel. When you observe what's going on around you, and you let what you observe control you, rather than you control your thoughts, most of your thought energy will go into trying to change your circumstances. That's why so many people try to control their circumstances around them. When they look at their circumstances and it makes them feel good, they're okay. But when they look at their circumstances and it doesn't make them feel good, they feel the need to change their circumstances first before they can feel good. So they spend their life trying to change or fix things that make them unhappy so they can feel good. All the time they have it backwards. Instead of hoping our circumstances will change so that we can allow ourselves to feel good, we must change how we feel first, and then our circumstances will change. This spills over into our social structure as well. We look at things happening in our community or the world and we say, we've got to do something about this. We have to do something to control the situation. We need more laws. We need more rules. We need to tell the rest of the world how to live. We need more parental guidance for our children. We need more government control over the situation. We need more protection against this and that. But what you must realize is that there is no way to protect yourself against any negative circumstance by fighting it or resisting it. Those circumstances will change when the thought that caused those circumstances changes. If we want to change the world or change our lives, we have to change our thoughts. Once our thoughts have been changed, the outer circumstances will change automatically. Any other attempt will be temporary at best. And by controlling your thoughts, which simply means finding a way to feel good in the moment, your thought energy shifts. And once your thought energy shifts, either the circumstances will change or you won't be involved in the negative outcome. Most uncomfortable situations in life are caused by focusing on what's wrong or what's missing in our lives. Then we try our best to fix it. But the act of trying to fix it presupposes that we can change our outer circumstances before changing our thoughts. And that never works. In any situation, there are only two ways to respond. The first way is to react or focus on what's wrong and try to fix it. For example, suppose your present circumstances are that you have a lot of bills to pay and you have no money. So you can worry about the bills, you can pray for the money to pay the bills, you can ask for money to pay the bills, or you can stack the bills up in a pile and ignore them, which of course means they're always on your mind. All these thoughts give power and energy to the bills. This will always result in your bills getting larger and larger because energy follows thought. And it also leaves you feeling powerless to change your situation. The second way to respond is to find a way to feel good in the moment and then focus your attention on what you want. In this case, what you want is to create more income, not just to pay your bills, but to create more income so that this doesn't continue to be your lifestyle. If you focus on that, you will attract more ways to increase your income. This is something that you need to understand. You absolutely cannot have your attention on something that you don't want and then expect it to go away. Why do we do this? Why do we focus on what we don't want instead of what we do want? Because it's a habit that we've learned. We have learned to attack problems until they go away. But this is not how the universe works. This is how we have learned to work. But to have an extraordinarily successful life, we have to transcend this limited methodology of trying to fix things all the time. There's nothing to fix. All you have to do is to be conscious of what you focus on. Remember, the object of your attention will always grow in power and size. And because energy follows thought, anything you achieve vibrational harmony with must come into your experience, good or bad, positive or negative. So if you try to fix things, all you're going to do is achieve vibrational harmony with what you don't want. When you focus on what you don't want and you fight it and say no to it, it must come into your experience, because we live in a universe based on attraction. It's all about inclusion. There is no exclusion in an attraction-based universe. Every time you focus on something that you don't want, you set up a vibration that attracts it to you. That's why diseases get worse after a diagnosis, or at least usually for a while, until somebody convinces us that there is a remedy or a cure that we can focus on. But until we focus on the remedy or the cure, the disease seems to get worse. Our initial vibrational match is, it's getting worse. But once we focus on the remedy or the cure, it begins to get better. I am asking you to make a decision today that from now on, to give up resistance of the things that you don't want and allow the things that you do want to come into your life. When you do that, no matter how bad things are now, trust me, it's going to get better. And as it gets a little better, and you continue to make the best of what you have now by focusing on what makes you feel good, it's got to get even better. And if it's still not much better, and you keep doing this, it's going to get better and eventually resolve itself. It has to, because your thoughts must find their vibrational match. So your success is virtually guaranteed. All it takes is to give up resistance and start allowing what you desire to come into your life.